The journey begins, saving my kids from a life of negativity. My wife cut off all friends and most of the family. Now I'm trying to protect our kids and myself from that life. To begin with, here's an example of how and why she cut off her best friend, whom she had known for over 30 years. I still meet up with him for drinks and chats. The friend had been in a relationship for quite some time. We could see that his girlfriend was starting to suffocate him and restrict his life for her own comfort. He saw through it fairly quickly, as she began to drain him financially as well. Instead of standing by him and helping as his best friend, my wife preferred to stay home and make comments like, "He won't be my friend anymore if he doesn't break up with her, and I'm not going to help him. Let him figure it out himself." He wasn't even invited to our wedding picnic, with my wife explaining, "He's not invited because he's still with her." I helped him however I could, even if only through conversation. Similar stories happen with all of her and my friends and acquaintances. To put it briefly, if something wasn't done her way, she would cut you out of her life, start arguments. And in this way, she has driven away all her friends and acquaintances. Now, she's doing the same to me, or rather, I'm trying to save our child from his kind of lonely and negative lifestyle that, unfortunately, my wife continues to lead. She avoided all possible home visits with any excuse she could think of, but she couldn't avoid everyone. The few visits we did have, or the ones we attended, were great while we were in company. But as soon as we were alone in the car or at home, she would start complaining about anything that didn't go her way, saying she wouldn't tolerate it, that she didn't have to put up with this, and she could go on like that for an entire hour after the meeting. If you believe in second chances and the power of community support, please subscribe, like, and share. Thank you for being a part of this journey. In 2015, she started behaving similarly with members of my family. Because my father was still a smoker and occasionally drank too much, he no longer existed for her. My mother liked to have coffee with friends at the local cafe, and because she went for coffee instead of staying at home, my wife cut her off as well and even told our child not to visit them anymore. A few years later, she started doing the same with her own family members. Anyone who didn't live up to her standards or follow her ways was cut off. At that point, even her own mother stepped in and asked me if she acted that way at home too. Yes, she already did, but it wasn't as bad back then. Even her own mother has been telling her for years, several times a year, to pull herself together because it won't end well. But any such warning makes my wife feel threatened, and her reaction is to become defensive, avoid the topic, or change the subject. Even her own mother has given up on her. For years, I tried to help her through conversations, meeting with friends' acquaintances over drinks. Every attempt fell apart and ended in an argument, after which she wouldn't speak to me for days. In 2020, I completely gave up trying to fix the and began focusing on the children and myself. Then COVID-19 came, which made things even worse for her. It was a plus, as she didn't need to go anywhere and no one could come visit. At that point, the children and I became the targets. I stepped in with the kids when she started arguing with them because they wanted to play in the yard with their friends, and she wouldn't allow it because there were puddles. This was during summer, with no COVID restrictions. Then she argued and scolded them for not clearing the table exactly how she wanted, and she got so angry you'd think they had broken the table by being wild. Of course, I didn't allow it, and took all of her anger onto myself. Every time I went to the club, or had a drink with friends once a year, she looked at me as if I'd torn her arm off. She got irritable, same story when I went to visit my parents, which I did at least once a week. To be clear, she always had the option to come with me or go alone. I also stayed home when needed and didn't complain. You know what? I think you've now formed a picture of what life is like for the children and me under these impossible living conditions, or better said, under my wife's unreasonable demands. If you believe in second chances and the power of community support, please subscribe, like, and share. Thank you for being a part of this journey.